What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I'm getting Forspoken. This is my preview series where I take a look at a game and talk about whether I'm getting it, not getting it, waiting on it, all that good stuff. This is the first game I am doing this for in 2023, so it's good to get the series rolling again for a very controversial game. Or just a game, I don't even know if controversial is the right word. It's a game that's got a split kind of decision on it, right? And I'll be honest, even from me, I feel like I've stayed relatively consistent, even with the demo. I actually reviewed the demo. I had some, I was debating, do I review a demo? Is that stupid to do? I ended up actually doing it, so you can take a look at that if you want. And the demo really gave me the same impression the base game has given me all along, which is I'm going to be getting this game for the strengths, and I'm going to pray that the weaknesses aren't that bad. And, when you play the demo in your own hands, you realize, yes, this game does have strengths, and yes, this game seems to have a lot of weaknesses. So again, literally the exact same thing. I'm glad they did the demo, because for some people, it maybe sold the game to them. Maybe for some people, they decided, well, I was going to get the game, and now absolutely I'm not. Or maybe you're like me and was like, well, I'm going to get it. This didn't really make me more or less excited. It kind of just exists. The demo just exists in its own pocket universe, because I've always thought that the gameplay of this game looked, at the time, we were talking about it, right? It looked rather good. From playing it, I think the gameplay does actually feel pretty good. I think there's a lot of room. Now, the demo doesn't give you everything, but I think the game has a lot of room to be very, very good with movement, I would say just generally, and then also gameplay while you're moving. The game does seem to be a game that wants you to be, constantly doing something, and the elemental powers look really, really cool. It gave me, like, Infamous vibes at first. I guess maybe to an extent it still does. Maybe even a little like Ghostwire Tokyo, because that game, experimented with the elemental powers of like water, fire, stuff like that. And that's, Forspoken's got that. I think it looks really cool. I think visually it looks cool, the powers that she can do. And I also think from a gameplay perspective, it's fine. In fact, I think fighting the end boss, the Dreki-like, alligator thing at the end of the Forspoken demo, I think that kind of shows there's depth here, right? It's a little challenging. You got to make sure you're blocking and moving around and using different, techniques. Like, I think there's potential there. The other stuff, well, I think visually it's kind of a mixed bag. I think close-up things look fine. The character looks fine. I think from any of the trailers that we've seen, the game, there's ways of obviously framing trailers to make it look good. The world does look very, very empty. And I was trying to save that for a little bit later in the video, but the issue is you talk about visuals. Well, a lot of the game seems to be, and it probably will be, you're out in the open world. You're out walking around and jumping up cliffs and all that stuff. You're gonna see things. Or will you? Will you see actually nothing? And that's where, again, the game, I think, is a little bit more of a mixed bag. The game visually seems to be lacking in, well, details, one, but also just things that are going on in the world. And that does worry me, because you think of, I'm not going to compare this game all that much, I'd assume, to like Horizon Forbidden West, but you think of that game as an open world PlayStation game that, that is, very similar, and the amount of detail, right? There's almost too much detail in Horizon Forbidden West. And then you look at Forspoken, it is hard to ignore those kind of like side-by-side shots. It just is. When I'm playing Forspoken, and am I going to be nonstop thinking about Horizon? I doubt it, but I am going to be thinking like, well, I would like a world that feels kind of full, feels like there's things going on, does have details and all that stuff. And if that's not there, that is going to, considering it's an open world game, that may hurt it, right? The story, I'm less inclined to pick on, right? Like, from the demo, there were people picking on, I guess, the story, but also like the voice acting and the dialogue. And I am going to stick with what I've always said. See, this is the thing that actually doesn't change much based off of me watching all the trailers and then playing the demo. This game, at its core, when it was first created from like the people that created it, it's got a real, like Gary Whitta, Amy Hennig was part of like the foundation for this game. So yes, they weren't like there for the filling up part of it. So yeah, there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong, right? But considering the foundation really did start with several very good people that are very talented, have done other things that I'm a fan of, and then yes, they were handed off. There's a pro-con there. But because there's a pro-con there, I'm not ready to throw it under the bus. That's something I need to see the entire game. Is the idea of her as the main character, is she good? Does she suck? The actual story that's going on in this game, is the foundation good? But from like minute to minute scenes, they aren't good. Who am I supposed to blame? Also, right, if it's bad, who am I supposed to blame? So that is something that I need to just wait and see for the game. And again, I've been actually very consistent with that. Combat has always looked good, visuals hit or miss, and then like the story, we really don't know, but I've always liked the foundation. And there's really nothing you can gauge from the demo for Forspoken. You think about like the characters, the dialogue. Yes, the dialogue for the character doesn't seem amazing. The voice acting also doesn't seem amazing, but it's in limited times. Even in the demo, they don't speak much. They really don't talk a lot at all. So those, I'm not like, I guess for both sides, right? I'm not massively defending it. It's just simply, I don't know. And then I don't really think I'm attacking it all that much either. So I feel like I'm maintaining a nice neutral ground because it's how I feel. I've always felt pretty strongly about the gameplay, and then I haven't really felt strongly about anything else, and that's probably for the best. So this is besides Fire Emblem, right, the new Fire Emblem game that comes out, I think a few days before it, maybe like 1 or 2 days before it, Forspoken is one of the first, if not the first, big game of the year. But it is a controversial, split kind of game that I have seen when I mention it on Twitter or I've talked about it in YouTube videos. For every comment that I see of people saying, yeah, it looks rad, like I'm excited to try it out, there's a person that says, it's a hard pass, like an immediate you don't have to think about it. The year doesn't start with Forspoken, it starts with some other game after it. You get, for every one, you get the other. But it's a game that I think could wildly be good and surprisingly maybe be good. I think it could surprisingly be terrible, or it could just be kind of a middle of the pack kind of, and right now, that's the kind of game I think this is. I think this is a 6 or 7, again, review scores, being put aside. It is it's a middle of the pack. It's got some good, it's got some bad. Maybe some people absolutely love it, maybe some people absolutely hate it. It's that kind of game. And, is that the kind of game you'd like to lead the year off of if you're PlayStation and Square Enix? Maybe not necessarily, but it is what it is. It's too late to go back now. Remember, this game has been done for like forever. The delay that this game had, while they didn't say it, they kind of did without saying it. They delayed this game because of God of War. They didn't want this game releasing too close to God of War Ragnarok. That, and in the delay reasoning, they talk about how they had communication basically with PlayStation, and they basically decided it was best for everybody to move the game. So I do not think this game was delayed because it needed more polish. I mean, I'm sure they used it for polish, but I don't think they delayed it for those reasons. They delayed it to get out of God of War's way. So this game's been done for a while. It is what it is. Like, if it was a mediocre game 6 months ago, I really don't think any of that stuff has changed now. I think it's been, completed for a long time. So let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments. If you're getting it, if you're not, maybe you're waiting for a sale, let me know. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up, and I hope to see you all on the next one.